على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه وأهل بيت الطاهرة أجمعين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Continuing with our series of lectures on the various surahs of the Quran, we have been examining. First, we started with Surat-Al-Fatah, chapter 48 of the Quran. And this week, inshallah, we will be looking at Surat-Al-Rahman, chapter 55 of the Quran. Many of you know this surah, you will be familiar with the surah. It is remarkable for its beautiful style and, of course, its beautiful content. This surah has amongst its names, has the distinguished name of Arus al-Quran, the bride of the Quran. And it is called Arus al-Quran because of the level of adornment that it has within it. The Quran has different functions in different places, and so it uses different styles. Sometimes it wishes to legislate, and so it uses a legislative style. Sometimes it wishes to inform, it uses an informative style. Sometimes a narrative style, because it wants to give information about a narrative which took place in the past. But there are points in the Quran when Allah Ta'ala wants to appeal to His audience through the signs of nature. And so He invokes all of the wonders of creation. And also He wishes to invoke heaven and hell for the purpose of motivating people towards obedience and away from disobedience. And so He portrays the picture of heaven and hell as if they are real and as if they are before us. And so this brings about a dramatic style that brings to life the realities of the Day of Judgment. And Surat-Al-Rahman has both these wonders of nature in it and also the realities of the Day of Judgment and Jannah and Nar. And this is why the style of the surah is very dramatic, to suit the dramatic content of the surah. And one of the notable features in this surah, of course, is the use of the dual, as many of you are aware. And the dual is a grammatical form which exists in some languages and not in others. In Arabic, it is quite powerful. And we see it in a number of places in the Quran when Allah Ta'ala addresses Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, Sayyidina Hawa alayhi salam, He uses the dual form. And also when He talks to Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam, giving them instructions to go towards Pharaoh, He uses the dual form as well. Here, the dual form is used in a number of different places, but most noticeably it is used in the recurrent refrain, the repeated statement, the famous verse of this surah, which is repeated 31 times in this surah, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And this is a remarkable feature of this surah. And the sheer recurrence of it, the sheer repetition of it, drives home the importance of this statement. One cannot fail to notice that this is something which is being emphasized. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Many of the translations say, which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? And this is valid, and beyond this, however, the surah is saying, how can you possibly deny the truth of this revelation? How can you deny the Quran? And it therefore presents in its opening section the wonders of nature and creation, as if to challenge the reader and say, how did all this come about? How did this ordered creation come about? How did you find yourself alive on this earth, sustained, with your needs taken care of, and things provided which are suitable for you, and things provided which are subservient to you? And how did you observe this wonderful harmony in nature, that the plants take your toxic carbon dioxide and they provide you with oxygen for you to breathe? How did that happen? How did it that the sun provides warmth for you to work and light for you to work and play during the day? How is it that the night provides shadow and darkness for you to sleep in at night? How is it that the trees provide you with shade in the heat? How is it that the breezes provide you with coolness? When you build a house, you have to put all these systems in place, heating, ventilation, cooling, everything. You have to do all this. It just happened on this earth by itself. So Allah Ta'ala highlights the wonders of His creation. And then He says, know me, Recognize me, come towards me, listen to me. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And the use of a question here, istifham, it forces the listener to think, because Allah Ta'ala is addressing the audience directly. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Which of my favors will you deny? Which of my signs will you deny? How can you reject this plain truth which is staring you in the face? And the dual form is used to address humans and jinn. And this becomes apparent from a verse that we will come to in a moment, where Allah Ta'ala addresses the humans and the jinn directly. Ya ma'ashar al-jinni wal-ins, as we will come to this. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And this is the grammatical pattern. تُكَذِّبَانِ. This alif noon, which indicates the dual form here, in this verb, تُكَذِّبَانِ. Now that pattern, and this is called the fasala, that pattern is replicated in the surah, both in verbs but also in nouns. And so the nouns are not coincidentally adopting that pattern, because the verbs have that pattern because they are in the dual, alif noon. But the nouns are carefully selected to follow the same pattern. Ar-Rahman, a name of Allah is chosen which fits this pattern. Or you could say that the pattern fits the name of Allah. Allah knows why He has chosen the words He has, but we can see that it is harmonious and it is beautiful. Ar-Rahman, allama al-Quran, alif noon. خلق الإنسان ألف نون. علمه البيان ألف نون. الشمس والقمر بحسبان ألف نون. والنجم والشجر يسجدان ألف نون. Now, as I said, the verbs يسجدان here is a dual form because of والنجم والشجر. So it's the dual form of the verb. It has to be alif noon because of the grammar. But the nouns that we see here, such as Ar-Rahman, Al-Quran, Al-Insan, Al-Bayan, and we see Al-Mizan, these are selected words which end in alif noon. They're not forced to follow this pattern because of the grammar. The other thing we notice is that there are different duals throughout this surah. So for example, jinn and ins are paired as creation who were given their own volition, because everything else is subservient to Allah in every respect. So they have this unifying characteristic that Allah gave them an element of volition over their actions. But then we see other pairings, as here, Ash-Shamsu wal-Qamar. They have been paired in this verse. And as we go through the surah, you will see more and more that each verse of the Quran even has pairs of creation. And Allah Ta'ala said He created creation in pairs. And further on in Jannah, we will see that even the blessings of Jannah are presented in pairs. So we have pairs of gardens, for example. Different pairings even in Jannah. So this surah is rich with the dual, and this is a style of this surah. So it is Arus al-Quran, the bride of the Quran. It is adorned with the beautiful features that we have mentioned and many others, both in its content and in its style. So first of all, if we look at this surah, we can divide it into roughly 3 sections. So we will divide it from verse 1 to 25. And this is the first section. These are the wonders of creation. Here Allah Ta'ala is saying, look, I made all this for you. I am your creator. I am your Lord. I am your sustainer. I am Khaliq. I am Rabb. Know me. Know me. Recognize me. I'm calling out to you. Look around you. Use your senses. Use your sight. Look at the wonders of creation, and then use your aql. Think, and then with your heart, understand and believe. I gave you all these things to use your senses to see what is around you, to perceive, your aql to think, to process, and your heart to know me, to believe in me, to love me. Internalize this faith. And that's the first section up to verse 25. Then from verse 26 we have up to around verse 45 we have the realities of the Day of Judgment, and there is a mention there of Nar as well. This is a section in which Allah Ta'ala is warning humans and jinn that if they deny the Day of Judgment, it is nonetheless inevitable. And when it comes, it will turn their world upside down. And the realities of that are presented before them. And then from verse 46 to the end, verse 78, the third section presents at length, in the script before me I have 2 pages. It's approximately 30 verses, talking about Jannah. This is a very, very lengthy exposition of the rewards of Jannah. So this is motivational. Now, the commentators have discussed whether this surah is Meccan or Medinan, and most inclined towards the fact that it was Meccan, and some towards the fact that some or all of the content was Medinan. But if we look at the content here, one of the criteria which is used to consider whether a surah is Meccan or Medinan is the thematic content. What is discussed in that? If we look at the content, Allah is inviting the audience to know Him as the Creator in the first section. Then He is warning about the realities of the Day of Judgment. Then He is presenting the vision of Jannah as a reward for those who believe. And the content here seems to be more inclined towards the Meccan circumstances in the Meccan audience, because first of all, the Meccans, although they did believe in God, they were not atheists. They didn't deny the existence of God, but they didn't believe in God the way He should be believed. They didn't know God. They didn't recognize Him as unique as the Creator, unique in His attributes. And so Allah Ta'ala points to the perfection of creation to say, look at this ordered world. If there were many gods, they would have fought amongst themselves. This ordered world points to the fact that there is one Creator. Secondly, the Meccans denied the Day of Judgment and accountability. So the emphasis in the second section on the realities of the Day of Judgment and the realities of the hellfire. This is a warning which seems appropriate to a Meccan audience. Thirdly, the believers in Mecca were subject to tremendous persecution. The often impoverished, often people who are at the bottom level of society had believed in the Prophet ﷺ's message, and they were subject to intense persecution, and many of them had no way out of these situations they found themselves in. And sometimes their masters would torture them, as in the case of Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu ta'ala. Sometimes rich relatives would oppress their poorer relatives. Fathers would oppress their children. Anyone who had influence over another would bring that influence to bear to try to crush them and to crush the faith out of them. So these people were under immense pressure to abandon their faith or not to accept it in the first place. What kept them going? They had the truthfulness of the Prophet ﷺ, which they believed in, and their belief in the Akhirah. And so Allah Ta'ala giving them a rich portrayal of the rewards that they will enjoy in Jannah would have been very motivating for them. It would have given them something to live for, something to believe for, something to aim for. It would have reminded them that the hardships of this world will end, and in the hereafter they will have everlasting bliss and rewards from Allah. So the content suggests it is more inclined towards a Meccan audience. So if we look at the first section of this surah, we see Allah Ta'ala mentioning His name here, Ar-Rahman, the benevolent Lord, the one who bestows gifts upon His creation. And the Prophet ﷺ said in one narration, love Allah for the favors He has done upon you. Love Allah for the favors He has done upon you. So by reminding creation of His favors, Allah Ta'ala is giving them reason to love Him. Reason to love Him, reason to come towards Him. This is a form of appeal. It's Ar-Rahman. This is the benevolence of Allah. Then we see Allah as teacher, Allah teaching the Quran, Allah instructing His people. How are they to know Him if He doesn't tell them? So Allah Himself is teaching His creation, come to know me. So Ar-Rahman, allama al-Quran. Allama meaning He taught. He taught the Quran. So through the Quran, through scripture, through prophets, He teaches His creation. Allama al-Quran. God is the teacher in the Quran. In many verses we see God talking about His knowledge and His grace in teaching His creation about things that they didn't know. Allama al-Quran. And then God the Khaliq, God the Creator. Khalaq al-insan. Khalaq al-insan. He created man. How did you get here? Allah created you. Khalaq al-insan. So we have God the benevolent Lord, Ar-Rahman. We have God the teacher of the Quran, Allama al-Quran. We have God the creator of man, Khalaq al-insan. And then we have again God the teacher, Allamahul Bayan. Some people said Bayan is a name of the Quran as well. Others translated this Bayan as speech, which distinguishes humans and is a cause of their progress and development. Allamahul Bayan. And then we have the wonders of creation. But listen, all of them are subservient to Allah's command. Humans and jinn are invited to be subservient to Allah's command. In Surah Al-Dhariyat, He said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I didn't create humans and jinn except that they should submit to me. Here, He appeals to them, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. But look around you, all of nature is subservient to the divine command. So you have to become harmonious with this nature. You have to submit as well, but with volition. That's what distinguishes you. So look at the creation. الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ بِحُسْبَانٍ. The sun and the moon, the celestial bodies which you see high in the air, high in the heavens, they are bihusban. They are set on a prescribed course. They can't deviate, as Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Yasin. One can't go ahead of the other can't precede the former. Everything is in accordance with a prescribed measure. Celestial bodies which are in the heavens, which you look up to, yet they are subservient to God's command. The sun, although it is ablaze in its glory by day, yet it sets at night. The moon, which radiates and illuminates the night sky, yet it disappears during the day. It's there, but we can't see it. Ibrahim alayhi salam, as you know in the Quran, looked at these heavenly bodies and he said, these can't be my Lord because they disappear. God is ever present. God is omniscient. God is always كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ, as it says in this surah. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Every day, every moment, He is engaged in managing the affairs and sustaining this world. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. People call out to Him all the time. He is always there. الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ بِحُسْبَانٍ. Again in pairs. وَالنَّجْمُ وَالشَّجَرُ يَسْجُدَانِ. And the stars and the trees prostrate. Again in a dual form. Now وَالنَّجْمُ. Some people said, why is وَالنَّجْمُ paired with وَالشَّجَرُ? Stars and trees. Sun and moon, yes, we pair them. But stars and trees, why are they paired? Well, the verb is yasjudan. It means there's a movement downwards. So you could say, well, the stars move downwards and the trees move downwards. So this is why they're paired. Another interpretation people gave is that an-najm can also mean herbs. So an-najm can mean herbs. So this would be a perfect pairing of herbs and trees. Different types of plant growth. And najm, ash-shajar. So softer plants with softer stalks, and then trees which are stronger. But even, meaning softer plants bend, but even the strong trees, even they bend, bow down, yasjudan. I think what is even more interesting than this is that in the Quran, every word is chosen precisely to fit in its place. And many of the scholars have examined this issue and focused on the selection of words in the Quran and how precise they are. Here, an-najm serves two purposes. One, it is a perfect connector with ash-shams wal-qamar. So we have ash-shams wal-qamar bi-husban wal-najm. This is very harmonious. The sun, the moon, the stars. Very, very harmonious. At the same time, an-najm and ash-shajar, if you have herbs and trees, this is also harmonious. So by choosing the word najm, it is a perfect connector to the verse before, and it is perfect within its own verse as well as a pairing. So a word is selected here which has potential duality of meaning, but both meanings fit beautifully in their place. وَالنَّجْمُ وَالشَّجَرُ يَسْجُدَانِ. Again, this is giving man hints as well. الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ بِحُسْبَانِ. They are held in account. You will be held in account too. You will have hisab. وَالنَّجْمُ وَالشَّجَرُ يَسْجُدَانِ. They prostrate. You should prostrate. وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانِ. And he raised the heaven and he established the balance. Now, some people said this is justice, that God established justice. And this is one interpretation. The other is the balance of creation, that everything in nature is harmonious and balanced, as I talked about carbon dioxide and oxygen between living creatures and the animal creatures and the plant kingdom. There's a harmony there. And then we have other systems which are all harmonious. We have darkness and light, and we have water falling from the sky and then evaporation going back up. All of this harmony. So there's a balance in creation. And we see now that when we interfere with nature too much, we can upset this balance. But Allah created nature in balance. Left to its own devices, it works. وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانَ أَلَّا تَطْغَوْا فِي الْمِيزَانِ. That you not transgress in the balance. So don't interfere with the harmony of creation and nature. Don't interfere with the balance of nature. And also, don't interfere with justice. Meaning, don't be unjust. Don't oppress people on this earth. وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ. Then he moved from the heavenly bodies down towards the earth. So started high and now he moves low. He said, وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ. Now he spread out this carpet of the earth for the creatures to walk upon, for the creatures to walk upon. And now, having brought you down from the heavens to the earth, first he started with the celestial bodies, then the trees, plant growth, which is a bit higher above the earth, then وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ. He spread out this carpet for you all to walk on. Now what is on this earth? What is upon this earth? Then he said, فِيهَا فَاكِهَةٌ وَنَخْلُ ذَاتُ الْأَكْمَامِ. Fruits and date palms which have sheaths in clusters. وَالْحَبُّ ذُو الْأَصْفِ وَالرَّيْحَانِ. And grains which are enclosed in husk. And rayhan, fragrant blooms. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Look at all this abundance of growth, these layers of creation, layers of nutrition, and this protection, the way the wheat is enclosed in its husk, how it is protected, and even the whole grain which gives you extra nutrition. It's balanced and harmonious. And the fragrance of the blooms, rayhan, appeals to your senses. The dates, how abundantly you see when the cluster of dates hangs down, the sense of abundance you get from them. And again, the protection in the sheaths. And then he talked about the creation of man himself. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ كَالْفَخَّارِ. So the Khaliq, God's quality of being Khaliq, before he said خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ, here we have now خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ كَالْفَخَّارِ, from wringing clay like pottery. وَخَلَقَ الْجَانَّ مِنْ مَارِجٍ مِنْ نَارٍ. And he created jinns from smokeless fire as well. This jan here, this mad is followed by noon with shadda here. So because of the shadda, this mad will be stretched 6 counts, mad lazim, and this is the longest mad that we see in the Quran. These when you follow the mad with the shadda, this would be 6 counts, should be longer than the other mads which you see in the Quran. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So this is the first example after we have the plant growth, وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ. Then he talked about the foods that he provided. First of all, he talked about the food, which is your sustenance. And then he said, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ كَالْفَخَّارِ. So first thing he mentioned is the creation of man and jinn after the foods. And then for the first time now in verse 16, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ Sorry, in verse 13 after the foods, and then in verse 16 after the creation of man and jinn, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So the creation of your sustenance is a sign for you, and the creation of yourselves is a sign for you. Without your sustenance, you wouldn't have survived. So He created your sustenance, and then He created you. And then we have Rabb. Now in verse 17 we have God the sustainer, God the Rabb, the one who keeps things going. He creates them, yes. First He created them, but how do they maintain themselves? How do they survive? God the Rabb now. Rabbul Mashriqayn wa Rabbul Maghribayn, Lord of the East, Lord of the West. Again we have the dual form, Mashriqayn, Maghribayn. Some people explain this by saying that this is the winter solstice and the summer solstice, different places from which the sun rises and sets in the east and the west. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Then we have مَرَجَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ يَلْتَقِيَانِ, the two seas. مَرَجَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ يَلْتَقِيَانِ بَيْنَهُمَا بَرْزَخٌ لَا يَبْغِيَانِ. And between them is a barrier, they do not intermix. And one of the suggestions here is that the salt water and the fresh water, that although we see salt water flowing into fresh water and fresh water flowing into salt water, yet it's one of the miracles of nature that the salt water does its job and the fresh water does its job, and they don't become intermingled and become one. مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان. From this water you derive precious things. لؤلؤ والمرجان, pearls and coral. These are two things of beauty. Again, the dual is being preserved in the Na'am, which I mentioned. So we had the different wonders of creation here are being mentioned in pairs. So Bahrain, we have the two types of water. And then here we have Lu'lu' wal Marjan, pearls and coral. So two things again, dual. Both precious, both wondrous, both lustrous. If you notice, both of these have beautiful qualities. لؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام. And subservient to him are the ships في البحر كالأعلام, like mountains in the sea. Huge ships which sail in the sea. And we see that even today, most of the world's trade is done by sea. What you can transport on the water is very difficult to transport by land or by air. Vast oceans are traversed by huge liners transporting oil, food, all manner of things across from one continent to another. So the ability to navigate the oceans is tremendously important for man's economic prosperity and physical survival. So these are the wonders of creation which Allah Ta'ala mentioned. And you see this enumeration here, the listing of all of these things one after the other. This creates a sense of abundance, that God pouring down, raining down His abundant benevolence and His gifts upon creation. This is what we call Dalilul Khalq wal Inaya. Dalilul Khalq wal Inaya. The evidence of God as creator and bestower. God's power and His grace. He creates and He provides. Dalilul Khalq wal Inaya. So all of this in abundant measure He provides, all of these things. Now, contrasting with all of this provision of the world, contrasting with the duality of creation, contrasting with the finite nature of creation, all of which has to come to an end, we have Allah. And contrast is one of the techniques which the Quran uses to highlight its message. Things are always presented together in contrast. So for example, Jannah and Nar, heaven and hell, are presented together to contrast them. This is called al-muqabala wal-muqarana, comparison and contrast. Al-muqabala wal-muqarana. And this enables things to be set off against something so that they show up even more. For example, if you wear a dark suit on a white shirt, the contrast makes the white look whiter and the darkness look darker. In the same way, Jannah and Nar, if you see the blessings of Jannah near to verses talking about the hellfire, then the blessings of Jannah seem all the more sweet. At the same time, if you see the horrors of hell juxtaposed with the blessings of Jannah, then the sense of regret the sense of having missed out is all the greater. And the purpose of all of this is to appeal to man. Heed the message while there is time. And that is why the contrast is used to accentuate the message, so that it strikes home, so that it has a resonance, and so that it is effective. And so verse 26, having talked about the wonders of creation, says, yes, all of this has been done to keep you alive on this earth. Kullu man alayha fan. Kullu, everything. The first word of this verse, kullu, in one word, all of creation is encompassed. Kullu man alayha, which is upon it. Alayha, ha, this female preposition is referring to the earth, al-ard. Kullu man alayha, everything which is upon it. Fan. Fan. You can see this word. This is the fasala. Again, the alif noon here is used. And as the verse ends, we stretch the mud here. This mud is arid al-sukun. In place of the sukun here, we have the mud. When we end the verse, kullu man alayha fan. And as you have the word fan, you can imagine the breath going out of a living body. Dwindles away to nothing. كل من عليها فان. And then we have perfect contrast. ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. Contrasting with the extinction of creation, perishing of all creation, we have the everlasting nature of God. وَيَبْقَى. After fan, we have yabqa. The last word is saying that everything on the earth will perish, fan, and the first word of the next word is وَيَبْقَى. You see the contrast between fan and yabqa? Direct contrast between two words, different coupled verses, the end of one and the beginning of the next. Fan وَيَبْقَى. So what will remain? وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ. The manifestation of your Lord, the face of your Lord literally, وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. Most majestic, most beneficent, most generous. ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. And these qualities of Allah are mentioned again in the final verse of this surah. تَبَارَكَ اسْمُ رَبِّكَ. Celebrated is the name of your Lord, ذِي الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. ذِي الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. And notice that in verse 27 it's Dhul Jalal, and in verse 78 Dhil Jalal. And this is because of the word that it agrees with. Because in verse 27 it agrees with Wajhu. And in Tabarakasmu Rabbika Dhil Jalali. Tabarakasmu Rabbika. So Rabbika, your Lord. Rabbika. There. So what it agrees with affects the grammar. So remember, it is with Dhamma, Dhul, in verse 27, and with Kasra, Dhil, in verse 78. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. After mentioning this contrast between the perishing of creation and the everlasting nature of God, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Again, this recurrent refrain is mentioned again and again. Now, God, how should we know Him? First, we knew Him as the Creator, the benevolent Lord, the Sustainer. Now, we know Him as the Everlasting. وَيَبْقَى, the one who lasts, the one who doesn't perish. And then, we know Him now as the one who all creation seeks from. يَسْأَلُهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Everyone in the heavens and the earth. The angels or the humans. Everyone. Be they heavenly bodies or be they earthly bodies. يَسْأَلُهُ. Everyone is sustained by His command. Everyone needs Him. Allahul Ghani wa antumul fuqara. Allah is Ghani and you are needy of Him. يَسْأَلُهُ. Everyone asks from Him. مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. In the heavens or the earth. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. Every day. All the time. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. He is displaying His glory. His glory is manifest. His power, His majesty is apparent for all to see. Fi sha'n. It's apparent. If you look at the fact that all are needy of Him, everyone is sustained by Him, كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. You can't survive a breath without his permission. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So as I said, this second section is talking about God, the power of God, the day of judgment now, reckoning. This is what we know as tarheeb. In the Quran, Jannah and Nar, the day of judgment and the blessings of hell, these are employed to provide at-tarheeb wa targheeb. At-tarheeb means warning and admonition. It is asking those who disbelieve, it is warning them, threatening them that if you don't disbelieve, if you don't believe, this is what awaits you, the day of judgment and the hellfire. It is a way of motivating, forcing them, inclining them towards belief. At the same time, we have the rewards of Jannah, at-targheeb. This is raghba, this is trying to make people want to come towards the deen. For when they hear about the wonders and the pleasures of paradise, they will be inclined to come towards it. So this is the carrot and stick that we know of from motivation theory, the carrot and the stick. One is the incentive, the other is the warning. And this is employed in the Quran, at-targheeb wa at-tarheeb. At-targheeb is the one which inclines you towards something. This is motivational. And at-tarheeb is the warning. This is the stick which threatens and warns about the consequences if people do not believe. The purpose of all of this is so that people will obtain guidance. And guidance meaning that you are being guided towards what God wants you to do. So you have been given your volition to make your choices, but then you are being guided towards it by this message of at-tarheeb, warning, and at-targheeb, motivation. سَنَفْرُغُ لَكُمْ أَيُّهَا الثَّقَلَانِ. We will turn towards you. We will direct ourselves. سَنَفْرُغُ لَكُمْ أَيُّهَا الثَّقَلَانِ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Now, here we have God directly addressing humans and jinn. Up to now, we were told about things almost in the third person, as if God is the one who does this, God is the one who does that. خَلَقَ, He, this is the third person, He created. عَلَّمَ, He taught. Here, God is speaking directly now, just as in فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, where He is talking directly. Which of the favors, which of the signs of your Lord will you deny? That is direct speech. And this has impact. The direct speech used in the Quran provides impact. It forces the reader or the listener to pay attention. And so here, again, there is a direct address in this verse, verse 33. Ya ma'shar al-jinni wal-ins. Ya is harf nida. It is calling out. It is even more direct. It's not just that He's speaking to you, but He is calling you. Oh, ma'shar al-jinni wal-ins. Oh, creation of jinn and creation of humans. Ya ma'shar al-jinn. So ya is harf nida. Ya ma'shar al-jinni wal-ins. As if you are about to begin a speech and the audience is talking amongst themselves and you say, Ya ma'shar al-nas. Oh people. So everyone gives you their attention at the beginning of the speech. Ya ma'shar al-jinni wal-insi. In istata'tum an tanfudhu min aqtari as-samawati wal-ardi fanfudhu. If you think you have the ability to pass beyond the boundaries of the heavens and the earth on which God has placed you, feel free to leave. If you don't want to be subject to His command, feel free to leave His jurisdiction. لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. You will find nowhere where you can go except that you will be subject to His jurisdiction, except that He will be the creator and He will be the sustainer, and you will need Him. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And now the threats are now stepped up. يُرْسَلُ عَلَيْكُمَا شُوَاظٌ مِّن نَارٍ وَنُحَاسٌ فَلَا تَنْتَصِرَانِ. Flame and smoke will be unleashed upon you. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Now this isn't just about favors. This is what I was saying before. People translate this as which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? But look, sometimes Allah Ta'ala uses the same phrase, but yet He is talking about warning and threat. So there is more than favor here. These are signs of Allah. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. There are going to be consequences. There is going to be accountability. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Which of the signs of your Lord are you going to deny? فَإِذَا انشَقَّتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ وَرْدَةً كَالدِّهَانِ. The sky will be rent asunder and it will be reddened like leather, like stained leather. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ فَيَوْمَئِذٍ لَا يُسْأَلُ عَنْ ذَنْبِهِ إِنسٌ وَلَا جَانٌ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. We are told here that there is no need to question people then about what they did. He said, يُعْرَفُ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. The criminals will be known. يُعْرَفُ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. No need to ask them, what did you do? Is it this? Is it that? No need to ask them. يُعْرَفُ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. The criminals will be known. It will be apparent. بِسِيمَاهُمْ. From their faces. فَيُؤْخَذُ بِالنَّوَاصِي وَالْأَقْدَامِ. They will be seized by their forelocks and their legs. Forelocks meaning nawasi, the hair on the forehead, and their legs. So from the top part of the body and the bottom part of the body. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Which of the signs of your Lord will you deny? He's bringing the reality of the Day of Judgment to life for them in this section. He's shaking them. Anyone who doesn't believe in the Day of Judgment today, he's shaking them. This is at-tarheeb. He is warning. He is threatening. And then we have another statement which brings home the realities of the Day of Judgment. He says, هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمْ. This is hell. الَّتِي يُكَذِّبُ بِهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Which the criminals used to deny. هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمُ الَّتِي يُكَذِّبُ بِهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. This is the very hell which the culprits used to deny. They thought it wasn't true. He says, هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمْ. هَذِهِ, it means this. In English, it's a very simple word. This. In Quran, it's not a simple word. In the Quran, هَذِهِ in Arabic grammar is ismul ishara lil qarib. Ismul ishara meaning it is a demonstrative. You say this when you are pointing at something. Look, this. You point. And the thing you are pointing at, you say this. هذه. And هذه is lil qarib. It means something which is very close to you. By using هذه with Jahannam, he invokes a sense in which we feel that Jahannam is in front of us. The listener of this, to the one who listens to this verse, and remember, the Makkans were well versed with Arabic eloquence. This was not lost upon them. When Allah, having a few verses earlier, 10 verses earlier, he said, Ya ma'shar al-jinni wal-ins. He's talking to them directly. And now he says, Hadihi Jahannam. This is the very hell which you used to deny. Look, Hadihi. As if he has transported you to another time and another place and another world. The world which you used to deny existed. And then he is putting you in that place saying, now look, Hadihi Jahannam. التي يكذب بها المجرمون. And then when you come back to this earth, you realize, I wasn't there, I'm here. I still have time. I have to avoid that danger which I have seen. هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون يطوف بينها وبين حميم آن. Look, يطوف, tawaf. We have the word tawaf, which means going around the Kaaba. He says, يطوف بينها وبين حميم آن. Yatufu, they will go round and round in hell. You imagine the sense of spinning, as if you are going down. Yatufu baynaha wa bayna hamimin an. Hamim, boiling water. So the horrors of hell are brought to life dynamically, and the heat, which is its characteristic quality, in contrast to the coolness and the freshness of paradise, which is always conveyed by water. Heaven is characterized by water in the Quran. It conveys a sense of refreshment and coolness. And hell is characterized by fire, which conveys a sense of fury and a sense of discomfort and a sense of destruction. Water gives life, fire destroys. Water is cool and fresh and sustains. Fire provides a sense of horror. يطوفون بينها وبين حميم. So this is the end of the second section of this surah. And then in the final section, the third section, we have the pleasures of Jannah. You can read these for yourself. I won't go through every single verse here. You can read these. Many of you will be familiar from the translation of the content of this. But stylistically and in terms of the message, what can we draw from this? The third section begins, وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. Now look, when he mentioned hell and heaven, he put them next to each other. As soon as he mentioned hell, he mentioned heaven. And this is a habit of the Quran. It always juxtaposes these two for contrast. normally in many surahs of the Quran, we have only a couple of verses which mention heaven and hell in any one place, because there is a wider message. Maybe the content is to do with legislation or to do with the situation, and then there is a brief allusion to heaven and hell. But there are some passages in the Quran which deal with heaven and hell at length. And one of these is chapter 37 of the Quran, which As-Safat, which talks about heaven and hell at length. Now in that surah, heaven and hell are both talked about at length. Whereas in this surah, hell is mentioned very briefly. Although the Day of Judgment is mentioned in the whole section, section 2, but hell itself is only mentioned in 2 verses, 43 and 44. هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمُ الَّتِي يُكَذِّبُ بِهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ يَطُوفُونَ بَيْنَهَا وَبَيْنَ حَمِيمٍ آنٍ. Very short. And this means that the notion of tarheeb, although it is present in this surah, and certainly the realities of the Day of Judgment are made very apparent, but the details of hell are not gone into in much detail. But the notion of tarheeb, motivation, is very strong. And so we have 30 verses on heaven, 2 verses on hell, and 30 verses on heaven. 2 verses on hell and 30 verses on heaven. So the notion of motivation in this surah is very strong. And this would have been very helpful for the Makkans, believers who are in the position of severe hardship, suffering, persecution and torture. And it's also in keeping with the fact that the first section of the surah is all about God's benevolence. So God's benevolence on earth in section 1 and God's benevolence in heaven in section 3, all in keeping with the name Ar-Rahman, God as the benevolent and merciful Lord. So there is more emphasis on mercy, more emphasis on reward, more emphasis on motivation here than there is on threat and warning, although both are present. So the first verse of section 3, verse 46 says, وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. So the quality of those who will earn Jannah is وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ. They feared to stand in the presence of their Lord, or they feared the majesty of their Lord. They feared their Lord such that they looked at their position and their Lord's position and they said, well, He is the majestic Lord, He is Khaliq, He is a Rabb, He is Ar-Rahman, He is my benevolent Lord, He is the one who has blessed me with so many favors. My job is to be subservient to Him. So the favors invoke a sense of duty and responsibility. If He has blessed me so much, what is it my job to do then? I should love Him, as the Prophet ﷺ said, love Allah for the favors He has done. What else should I do? I should obey Him, as He said in Surat-Al-Rahman, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, Allah Ta'ala said. So I should love Him, I should obey Him. So the one who is conscious of this, who stands before Allah and he says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, praise before Allah, Lord of the world, and he understands who he is standing in front of. And the Prophet ﷺ said in the Hadith Jibreel, in the exchange between himself and Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, that Al-Ihsan, what is Al-Ihsan? Mal-Ihsan? An ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarahu, that you worship Allah as if you are seeing Him, and if you can't see Him, even if you can't see Him, know that He is watching you. So the one who fears the position of his Lord is the one who knows that Allah is always watching over him, and his actions are therefore controlled to come into conformance with the will of Allah. وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ, the one who was obedient to Allah, who obeyed Allah. Jannatan, 2 gardens. Again, the dual, Jannatan. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And then the qualities of those gardens are mentioned: abundant growth, running water, fruits. Again, fruits here, fruits on earth, fruits here. Not the same, but fruits nonetheless. فِيهِمَا مِن كُلِّ فَاكِهَةٍ زَوْجَانِ. Zawjan meaning 2 kinds. Again, duality. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Then we are told about the comforts. Now remember, these people were subject to persecution. Look at the likes of Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu, laid out on the scorching hot desert sand with hot rocks placed upon his body. Imagine the sheer horror and the discomfort of that bed. And then Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, مُتَّكِئِينَ عَلَى فُرُشٍ بَطَائِنُهَا مِنْ إِسْتَبْرَقٍ. Muttaki'een, they will be reclining. They will be reclining, muttaki'een. They will be leaning on a takya, something that you lean on. Takya. Muttaki'ina ala furushin. Farsh will be laid out for them. Soft carpets, soft beds will be laid out for them. Muttaki'ina ala furushin بَطَائِنُهَا مِنْ إِسْتَبْرَقٍ. They will be lined with brocade, embellished, embroidered, beautified. And then he said, وَجَنَى الْجَنَّتَيْنِ دَانٍ. Here we have dunya. This is the world we live in. It's called the dunya because it is near. Dunya is near. He said, وَجَنَى الْجَنَّتَيْنِ دَانٍ. Dan means it will be near. So near you can reach out and take the blessings of Jannah. The growth, the fruit growth, the growth of blessings in Jannah will be dan, near, within reach, within grasp, not far away. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? Then he talked about the companions. On this earth we have companions. There we will have companions. So there will be duality again. Here we have ذَكَرَ وَالْأُنْثَى, male and female. There we will have companions as well. فِيهِنَّ قَاصِرَاتُ الطَّرْفِ لَمْ يَطْمِثْهُنَّ إِنسٌ قَبْلَهُمْ وَلَا جَانٍ. Untouched before by man or by jinn. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Then he compared them. كَأَنَّ. This is adatu tashbih. Is showing tashbih, meaning similitude. He said that they are like. How precious are they? How radiant are they? How beautiful are they? He says كَأَنَّهُنَّ الْيَاقُوتُ وَالْمَرْجَانِ. As if they were rubies and coral. يَاقُوتُ وَالْمَرْجَانِ. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. This is the climax of this surah. Verse 60 is the climax of this surah. Allah is motivating His people to be obedient, saying, if you do good in this world, you will have good in the hereafter. You will have goodness in the hereafter. Do what I say here. Be obedient to me here. I will reward you in the hereafter. Do good to others here. Allah will be good to you in the hereafter. Be merciful to people here. Allah will have mercy on you in the hereafter. Worship Allah as if you see Him here. Allah will reward you abundantly in the hereafter. He said in verse 60, هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Is the reward of ihsan anything other than ihsan? هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. This could have been done as a statement, but it is done as a question. Hal is an interrogative particle. It indicates a question. As if to say, look, this is self-evident. You can see it for yourself. It makes sense. Goodness here will be rewarded with goodness there. Ihsan towards people will be rewarded by ihsan from Allah. Ihsan in the worship of Allah will be rewarded by ihsan from Allah in Jannah. هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. This is the climax of the targhib in this surah. If you do ihsan, you will receive ihsan. And then verse 62, وَمِن دُونِهِمَا جَنَّتَانِ. Then there are two other gardens as well. Some people said that the first two gardens and the second two gardens, that why are there two categories? They said because in Surat-Al-Rahman, which is in fact the next surah, we will examine that next week inshallah, that there are two categories of people who are successful. One is the muqarribin, or the muqarribun. These are the people who are most close to Allah. And then we have the ashabul yameen, people of the right. These are the people who did obey Allah, but they didn't attain the rank of the muqarribun. So therefore we have these two categories. So some people said that maybe the first two gardens and the second two gardens, these are the rewards for the people in these two categories. And that's why there's two pairs of Jannah, two pairs of the gardens here. Mudhammatan. Again, this mad lazim here is the length of 6 alifs, because the ha is followed by mim shadda. Mudhammatan, luxuriant growth. Again, this mad also enhances the meaning of this word of luxuriant, abundant, rich growth, plant growth, evergreen, you might say. Mudhammatan. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ فِيهِمَا عَيْنَانِ نَضَّاخَتَانِ. Again, عَيْنَان, two springs. عَيْنَان, two springs. نَضَّاخَتَانِ, gushing forth. Water, again, characterizing Jannah with its freshness and its thirst-quenching qualities, its refreshing qualities, and even its musical qualities. The sound in Jannah is also of the water trickling. So this is something which the Andalusians in Spain they replicated, they learned from this in the construction of their gardens. They would have trickling fountains to provide music to the ear. فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان. So we have fruits and dates and pomegranates. Fakiha is a general word, and then more specifically nakhl and rumman. We move from the general to the specific as we move through the verse. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ فِيهِنَّ خَيْرَاتٌ حِسَانٌ. Again, we have the mention of the companions of Jannah. خَيْرَاتٌ حِسَانٌ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And they are, again, their ta'aruf is given here. حُورٌ مَقْصُورَاتٌ فِي الْخِيَامِ. They are حُورٌ مَقْصُورَاتٌ فِي الْخِيَامِ, in enclosed abodes, tents. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ لَمْ يَطْمِثْهُنَّ إِنسٌ قَبْلَهُمْ وَلَا جَانٌ. Untouched by humans or jinn. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ مُتَّكِئِينَ عَلَى رَفْرَفٍ خُضْرٍ وَعَبْقَرِيٍّ حِسَانٍ. Reclining on, again, مُتَّكِئِينَ, reclining on carpets, green carpets. رَفْرَفٍ خُضْرٍ وَعَبْقَرِيٍّ حِسَانٍ. Lovely, sorry, رَفْرَفٍ خُضْرٍ, because here in the translation it said green cushions. Some form of platform which is covered in a comfortable material. وَأَبْقَرِيٍّ حِسَانٍ. So abqari is specifically carpets here, so something which is underfoot. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. All of these are the enumerated favors of Jannah. And then we have finally تَبَارَكَ اسْمُ رَبِّكَ ذِي الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. Most blessed is the name of your Lord. The name of your Lord, Dhil Jalal. Your Lord is the one who possesses majesty and ikram, generosity. And all of this generosity is apparent from his blessings on this earth and his blessings in Jannah as well. And Tabarak asmu Rabbika. Celebrated is the name of your Lord. Now I mentioned the name here. Now you see the surah begins with Ar-Rahman, the name of Allah. So the name, so the beginning, end comes back to the beginning. The name of your Lord is focused on. The name of your Lord meaning the Prophet ﷺ's Lord. And this is mentioned as well in this surah at the end. So we have this beautiful and dramatic surah, Arus al-Quran, in which Allah Ta'ala enumerates his abundant favors upon humans and jinn in this world, and also motivates those who heed his call, the call of the Prophet ﷺ, with the enumeration of the blessings of Jannah. And in between the two sections which do this, he has the message of a tarheeb, the warning to those who are heedless of the Day of Judgment, that there will be accountability and there will be punishment on the Day of Judgment if you do not heed this message. This is the Surat-Al-Rahman, the chapter 55 of the Quran, beautiful and also very semantically, in terms of its meaning, very, very effective and very appealing surah of the Quran. So may Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to heed his message, to love the Quran with all our heart, to study it with sincerity, and to act upon this Quran as we have been instructed to do, to heed its message and to follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We were told, the Prophet ﷺ said, Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ, that his khuluq was the Quran. He embodied the Quran. Anything which he read in the Quran, you could see it embodied in his persona. So all of these qualities which Allah Ta'ala wants us to have, of obedience, of shukr, of sabr, all of these things, we should derive them from the Quran, and we should try to embody those qualities in our characteristics. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم إني لك صمت وبك آمنت وعليك توكلت وعلى رزقك أفطرت. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا